Own son, 14 years old, to step up and, put it into this situation and do what he felt was right. This son, actor, star in Chirac movie, star in The Chi, honor roll student. He wasn't just some young kid that was out here carjacking and killing. He was actually a kid who had, a bright future and has done a lot of great things in his life.
Hi everyone, I'm your host, owner, and creator of The Mix. Welcome to my channel. Welcome. Like this video, share this video, and subscribe to The Mix, my channel. Yes. Thank you all to my day one subscribers. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you to those who are dropping comments under my posts, engaging respectfully in the comment section, and those who are being very informative, even for myself, I appreciate you. Thank you. I need for you all to share this video, and I need for you all to listen to this video. Listen to it from beginning to end. That's one way you can support The Mix, my channel. You can also support my channel by donating if you choose to. Head on over to the description section. Donation information is in the description section of my post. There's, like I said, so many different ways to donate. And then also for those who have not yet subscribed to my channel, go ahead and smash that subscription button and hit the notification bell. That is another way, the final way you can support The Mix. Okay, as you can see what this video is going to be about, and shout out to the person who commented, gave a very detailed comment on my previous post on Carlishia'S hood and the situation that happened in Chicago. For those who don't know, I am an Illinoisan and I was born and raised in Chicago, West Side. I've been in the relocated suburban area of Chicago, whatever the case may be. But and I did that some many moons ago. So although I'm Chicago born, bred it, and all of that, West Side, in my Tupac voice, I still have ties to Chicago in a sense, and of course family who reside on the west and south side of Chicago. But nevertheless, I digress. I had more time to process this whole entire situation, which I touched on in my last video about Carlishia'S hood, and I just wanted to clear some things up and just do more of a clarity if there was some type of miscommunication in my last post, because as I said initially, my oldest son basically pointed me to this story, and I kind of heard about it. And when my oldest son pointed me to the story, I'm just like, ugh. I got really frustrated because it's just I'm like, this should not have happened. It should not have happened. I'm thinking about my teenage child who's in the same age range as Carlishia'S hood's son. And when I saw a picture of her son, I'm just like, he's just not that typical Chicagoan kid. And it's unfortunate. I'm not trying to go in on kids in Chicago, but those who are pretty wayward or maybe don't have the proper guidance or direction, or maybe parents are not in their lives and just the streets are raising them. And for that to happen to those kids, and I could have been one of those kids because of my upbringing and circumstances or whatever, but because of that, they are out here wilding. Carlishia'S hood's son is not that, and I think I touched that on the previous video. But the point I'm trying to make, I saw my youngest child in it, and I'm like, can I actually put my son in this type of situation? Not stating that it was Carlishia'S, it was her fault or anything. Not saying that. Not so at all whatsoever. Not saying that. But just even for a split second, a situation like this arises, and my son have to be prepared. I'm just trying to understand it. It's like, that's such a huge weight on a 13-year-old, 14-year-old's shoulder. They should be focused on school, education, not keeping their head on a swivel for their mom and themselves, And it could be her son could have been going to school or this and that, and something, just crazy happened towards him or whatever. And maybe he was forced to defend himself, not saying with a firearm, because to my understanding, the firearm was not Carlishia'S son. It was Carlisha, and Carlisha is a registered firearm gun owner. So she has a right. And, as I stated before too, there's so many different media reports, which is also conflicting. But like I said, my point is, and I'm not trying to be all over the place, but this story is just, it triggers me. It does. And I'm going to go ahead and share a screen with you all. I'm also going to go ahead and share audio just for some who are probably not in Chicago, to gain a little bit more context on who Carlisha Hood's son is, because he's not one average wherever inner city kid that's just bang 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 wild and shoot him up. He's not that. So I don't know if it's a narrative out there and people thinking, because I looked at a couple other YouTube videos today, and today is, you guys, oh gosh, I be getting my days of the week mixed up. Oh, excuse me. Today is Tuesday. So this evening I seen another YouTuber, and the information was just totally wrong. So you guys try to hone in on some people from Illinois or Chicago when you're receiving information, and not even the mainstream media. And that's another thing. Sometimes with the mainstream media, CNN, NBC, WGN, CBS, ABC, all of that, and I say this respectfully, they get it wrong. They do. They get it wrong. Sometimes their articles are incorrect. Sometimes they have to come back and do corrections. So while everybody is stating that, this is just fake news or misinformation from certain YouTubers or this and that, that's not necessarily the case. You can get that from the mainstream media as well, from the big mainstream media websites as well, and YouTube pages, and different media platforms, from Twitter, from IG. They have all of those mainstream medias. Most of them have those type of social media platforms too, and get it wrong. So I just encourage everyone to just conduct your due diligence and don't go off the first story, because sometimes things spread like wildfire. Because originally, when this was brought to my attention, I instantly was like, I don't see myself putting my child in a situation. And then I'm on the phone with my mom, and then my sister in the background was like, and I hadn't even done a deep dive into this. And so my mom was talking about it too. And I was like, yeah, my son was telling me about it. And my mom had me on speaker. So my sister was like, then everybody didn't see the whole story, because my sister, she is in Chicago, and trust and believe, I have family members who are registered firearm owners as well, and rightfully so. So like I said, I have family from the west side to the south side. Do I go into the city often? Absolutely not. I just, my life is in a different area, and I go to the city when, family events or whatever here and there, or just to expose my child to city life, downtown Chicago, things of that nature. Okay, and I digress with that. But yeah, so I'm on the phone with my mom, and my sister's in the background. I didn't know I was on speaker. She was like, see, everybody needs to do their due diligence, because the media run with stories and this and that. And I'm like, hey, hold up. I'm just saying, my son was telling me ABCD, but I still can't see myself putting this weight or burden on my child. And I'm gonna get into that too, why I keep saying that, because everyone's perspective is different, respectfully, and then where everyone at in their lives, whether you live, where you're living, your culture, your background, and all of that plays a part as well, so and then your upbringing and things of that nature. So, but my sister, she did raise some great points. I'm like, you right. I was like, oh wow, because it was a second video that surfaced showing Carlisha being beaten, because everyone was running with the first narrative. And again, it was triggered when I saw less than 5 seconds of, when I finally tuned in and saw less than 5 seconds of the video of that clown beating Carlisha, and he looked like he was on some type of whatever, turned up pills, whatever. He looked wild. He looked like he had a D-wish, dude, that's now deleted by, and it's unfortunate it happened that way. But hey, this is survival mode nowadays, especially in the inner cities. To go over mom and son being reunited and like the aftermath for mom and son, like what's next. Here too, Carlisha filed a lawsuit against the city of Chicago for wrongful arrest. And so I'm going to touch on that. I'm not going to keep you guys long, but and then lastly, I'm going to focus on a little bit about differences. Like differences should not equal division, and everyone's perspective of things, especially when you gather all the information, research, and facts. And then some people may still come to their own conclusion based off of their own perspective. And differences, just because we don't agree, it shouldn't equal division. You know, in terms of being in somewhat such a space where you like, well, I can't mess with you because you don't think this way, or I can't mess with you because you don't think that way. No, no, no. Differences should not equal division, because everyone kind of see things from a bird's eye view, and I say that metaphorically, from their own, perspective. So let me go ahead and share this clip. As you heard in the beginning, it was a portion of that clip, but I'm going to go ahead and share the full audio because this will shed some light on who Carlisha, just the whole situation, and like I said, who her son was.
In this situation, it started off with a violent. Over the past few days, this has been a social media discussion.
Let me pause this. You guys, if you don't know, this is Jamal Green. He's a Chicago activist. Differences should not equal division. And lately, I haven't been agreeing with a lot of things that Jamal, from a political perspective, but I respect. I saw this clip, an interview, I think was Channel 7 News or ABC News, one of those stations. He speaks perfectly about the situation and Carlisha and her son. But here we go.
All over social media, I put up a post about it. Got over 31 million views over the past couple days. Let me just say, everything that happened in this situation was terrible. First, of course, there was a loss of life, and we are always sympathetic to the loss of life, especially in Chicago when you lose people so much, with hundreds of people being killed. In this situation, it started off with a very violent attack in which Miss Hood, who has been a supporter for many years, her son saw his mother being hit by this man several times.
Absolutely. And when I saw, like I said, less than 5 seconds of that video, my stomach turned. It's like I wanted to jump through the video and do something, so it was triggering. It was super triggering for me. And like I said before in my last video, I try not to hone in on so many different images and videos when it comes to things like that, and just try to protect my mental space. I don't know about anyone else, but I'm in a different space in my life, and I've had situations arise through my early years, childhood years, and a lot of something like that to me is triggering. And yeah, so here we go.
At first, when this situation first uncovered, the media covered it as the mother directed her son to kill someone, in which everyone around the city of Chicago was like, oh my God, why would that mother do something like this? Then the video surfaced. I posted the video. It got over 31 million views. And folks all over the country said that this is a case of self-defense. Let me first just say that I am disheartened that people were there, especially men that were there, that watched this happen.
That's the conversation we need to be having. It is, because a lot of people, based off of people I've spoken to, even we're going to say outside of this situation with Carlisha Hood, just on a regular basis, things that may not hit social media or the news. Some people say they're minding their own business. It could be something that takes place on the CTA bus, that's the Chicago Transit Authority bus, or on the PACE bus, or on the Metro train. People don't get involved. They let it happen. Literally. And I've heard people say, oh, I'm not getting involved. That's their business. Because it's been situations where people will jump in and get involved, and then they die, and then they lose their life. So I hear what Jamal is stating. He's absolutely correct. But this is a conversation that needs to be had. You know, it really is. Because, in my opinion, the man that was there should have, that situation, like I keep saying, it should have been de-escalated. It shouldn't even gotten to that. Her son was more courageous. And he had to do what he had to do. And it's unfortunate. But he was more courageous and more brave than them ninjas that was in them. I gotta calm myself down, but here we go.
Had to be a 14-year-old boy to save his mother. Where are we as a community if situations like this can happen and a woman can be severely attacked and no one does anything? There were several people in the establishment and everyone said it wasn't their problem and they backed up. And it took her own son, 14 years old, to step up and, put it into this situation and do what he felt was right. This son, actor, star in Chirac movie, star in The Chi, honor roll student. He wasn't just some young kid that was out here carjacking or killing. He was actually a kid who had, a bright future and has done a lot of great things in his life.
That's boom. He broke it down. He broke it down about Carlishia'S son. He broke it down. And I knew originally when I seen a photo of him, I'm like, because my son, my youngest one, is just nerdy and just free-spirited and just a good kid overall. Unproblematic, mind his own business. And I'm not saying he's perfect because nobody is, but come on now. It's just, I don't know, the energy I saw from that picture of her son. I'm like, no, this kid, no, he ain't out here. And I didn't even know all the details, but here we go.
And so in this situation, he was looking out for his mother. No one else would. No one else in the establishment did anything. And so once he saw his mother being severely, hit, he took action. I would never praise the loss of life. I would never praise any situation that ends in violence.
I agree with that. However, in this situation, I feel no way. I give no ucks. I give no F's. And I say that with my chest. Not praising it, but I give no F's. I could care less. The loss of life in this situation. I wanted to jump through the screen and do something, and just so many different emotions is going through my mind. And I'm like, I can't watch this. I can't.
It's not okay, especially in the city of Chicago. But in this case, this young boy did what he felt was right. And I believe that the decision by the state's attorney today was correct. But what I need to say is that we need cultural foundation in these neighborhoods. We need to bring a village back. People need to understand that we got to stop allowing this violent behavior in our neighborhoods, period. Should never be any case where anyone is putting their hands on someone and acting violently in any establishment, in any neighborhood. And we got to step up and say enough is enough. And it shouldn't have ended this way, especially with so many other people that were in Maxwell. But it took this 14-year-old son to step up and say.
When he say Maxwell, that means the restaurant Maxwell Polish, you guys. For those who don't know, who's not in Illinois or in Chicago, he's speaking about the restaurant, the establishment. And there's several different Maxwell Polish restaurants around the city of Chicago, from the south side to the west side. And I think maybe up north, but here we go.
Enough is enough. I think today's charges were correct.
Okay, you guys, there you have it. There you have it. That's the first clip I'm sharing with you all regarding this. So what are your thoughts? Drop a comment. Jamal Green broke it down perfectly. Well said. My brother, again, he's been on a different side politically, in my opinion. And he hadn't been on Chicagoans' favorite side, most favorite activist side, but he's on the right side with this one. Okay, yes, everyone. So what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts about what Jamal Green stated? And That right there, his comments about the media and the story originally and how it was presented, the narrative to the world, it was pretty much misinformation. And I'm not gonna say misinformation, it wasn't the whole story. That's why oftentimes some people say, hey, I'm gonna wait till all the details, etc., before I jump on this story. But nevertheless, as you can see, I put up here, check this out. Nicki Minaj posted something about what happened with Carlisha Hood and her son. And let me zoom in, see if I can zoom in. Okay, I'm just going to hone in on this, and I will post this. Matter of fact, you'll see this in my community section, so head on over to my community section. I have polls going on as well. It cites here that this is what Nicki Minaj stated. She posted, this is floating around the internet. 14-year-old boy that backed that hammer out when that grown-ass man was punching his mother in the face as if she were a man is a true hero. If he wants to go to college, I'd love to help. It's what any son should have done for their mother. She raised a dope kid and should be so proud. Also, God knew before she knew that she'd be attacked that day and made sure they had protection on deck. God is good. As you can see, Nicki Minaj, a lot of people, I think some celebrities they are weighing in on this. Hopefully Nicki Minaj will catch that clip and see that he is an aspiring actor, straight A student, and he's been in Chirac, and according to what Jamal Green was saying. So now, mom and son reunited. As you can see, mom and son has been reunited. So what's next? What's next for them? I came across an article that the mother is filing a lawsuit. So let me go over that and then I'll come back with more of my commentary. Okay, as you can see, according to ABC7Chicago.com, woman files lawsuit after charges against her and his son dropped in West Pullman restaurant shooting. Okay, excerpts from this article I'm going to go over. I'm probably not going to go into read the entire article, so you can read it at your leisure. ABC7Chicago.com. A Chicago woman has filed a lawsuit after charges against her and her son were dropped in a deadly shooting at a Southside restaurant. Carlisha Hood, 35, was flanked by her attorneys in Bronzeville during a news conference where they announced that they have filed a complaint against the city of Chicago and 5 police officers. They claim Hood was falsely arrested and maliciously prosecuted, and that she has also suffered emotional distress. On June 18th of this year, my son's life changed. Hood said, never in a million years would I have imagined being brutally attacked, beaten, and then arrested. This comes after the Cook County State's Attorney's Office dropped all criminal charges against her and her 14-year-old son. The charges stem from an incident at a hot dog stand on June 18th in the block of South Halsted. Let me go ahead and play this clip from ABC7 Chicago.
I want to first thank the Cook County State's Attorney, Kim Fox, for doing the right thing and dismissing the charges. This is what.
So Kim Fox is still the state's attorney, and she's black, you guys. She's African American. And that's why I stated in my previous video, I wonder has she left office yet? Because she's not running again. But representation does matter in this instance. Although Kim Fox, I haven't been in agreement with a lot of different prosecutorial tactics, prosecutorial actions. And this is just my opinion. I haven't been in agreement with that, because in a lot of other situations, minus this, and I'm not speaking about Carlisha Hood's situation, but it's just like a catch and release type of thing in Chicago. And to my understanding, based off of my relatives, friends, and people I converse with from time to time who resides in Chicago, from the city to from the west side to the south side to up north, and someone I know about a couple years ago, son was carjacked up north in Chicago, brand new vehicle up north. That's just was hold on and was grazed by a bullet and ended up his almost pretty much shot in the head, but he still had to go into the hospital because he was bleeding from the head, like a head wound injury from the bullet or whatever. It didn't go in or insert, but it was like, wow. But nevertheless, so when it comes to Kim Fox, I don't know. She's not running again, and she will be bowing out gracefully. But right here, this situation, she got right. A lot of other situations, I'm like, what is she doing? And I get representation matters, but at the same time, and that reminds me of the person who commented on my last video. It's pinned in my comment section about Carlisha Hood. They broke it down. Thank you. Shout out to you who made that comment. You educated me thoroughly and put it and gave me a different perspective. When you have this lawlessness going on and anywhere, this is the results of that. And I'm not speaking about Carlisha Hood. I'm saying just overall the atmosphere. Everyone running amok in the city, youth, not just youth, middle-aged people, and then they get arrested and then they're released back on the street. So in this situation, we're going to connect this to Carlisha Hood. She had to arm herself. She's a firearm, registered firearm, rightfully so. And she had her firearm. Her son ended up helping her in this situation because his mother was in imminent danger. It was a threat. They both feared for the mom's life. So here we go. Let me play this clip. But yeah, that's my take on Kim Fox. But representation matters. Kim Fox got this one right. A lot of other stuff that's been happening with people running amok, she got that wrong. But here we go.
Justice looks like. I also want to acknowledge everyone who has been impacted by this in any way. To everyone who has supported Ms. Hood and her family through this trying time, we thank you. Yesterday, criminal charges of first-degree murder were dismissed against Ms. Hood and her 14-year-old son, rightfully so.
Rightfully so.
Now that she is free, we think it is important that her story is told and that she is heard. Okay, say your name.
Hello everyone, I'm Carlisha, Carlishia. Last name is Hood, Hood. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the support for me and my family. On June 18th of this year, my life changed. My son's life changed. I've experienced pain in many ways that I would never have thought, never. What happened to me was totally unnecessary. Never in a million years would I have imagined being brutally attacked, beaten, and then arrested. I am thankful that the Cook County State's Attorney dismissed the case. I am also thankful to have my son with me and by my side, and also his charges being dismissed. I thank my family for supporting me and the people all over the world. The people did not play. And I just thank God everything was revealed. And just everybody who has been praying and rooting for us, I just thank God for them. That did not go unnoticed. You are all not forgotten. And we are praying for all the families affected by this horrible tragedy. I am now in the process of healing and putting my family's life back together. During this trying time, we ask if, we could please have space to rest and recover from this life-altering situation. And that you all continue to keep us in your prayers. In the near future, I will be able to respond to outpouring of support. Again, I just need a little time to heal and to just get my life back with my baby. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart.
Oh, Lord Jesus. God, this is a lot.
That's it.
It's all right, Carla. It's all right, baby. You're strong. You're strong.
Oh, Jesus.
You're strong. You got this. God bless you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Attorney Brandon Brown. That's Brandon, last name Brown, Brown. This morning, we filed a 4-count complaint on behalf of Carlisha Hood. This complaint is being filed against the City of Chicago and the defendant officers who were responsible for her arrest. The complaint contains counts of malicious prosecution, false arrest, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. We do not take what happened to Ms. Hood lightly, and we intend to pursue this lawsuit, and there will be additional lawsuits forthcoming. I want to add that Ms. Hood and myself, we recognize that there has been a life lost, and so we are praying for the family of this man who lost his life. I don't want that to be forgotten. We appreciate that lives were affected by this incident, and so we don't want to dilute or diminish that. However, Ms. Hood and her son, we believe were wronged, and we intend to pursue that. Ms. Hood is not going to be answering any direct questions. Myself and Attorney Williams will be answering a limited number of questions. However, once Ms. Hood has time, and keep in mind that Ms. Hood was just released yesterday afternoon, and so she needs time. But once she is able to process and reconnect with her family, she will present herself again, and we will make her available, but not right now. We're asking that you give her space. We understand that there have been a number of people going to her home, attempting to contact her at her home. We also recognize that there have been things going on in the World Wide Web that may not necessarily be genuine or without malice.
Yes.
And so we would ask each and every one of you out there to keep this family in your prayers. Protect this family.
Yes.
Protect this family, and I have good reason to believe that they need protection. And with that, we would open it up to any questions.
When was the suit filed?
The lawsuit was filed this morning
Where?
in the Circuit Court of Cook County.
And legal argument, I mean, presumably police went to the state's attorney's office for felony review for this case?
That is correct.
Got that approved, so
Well-
what would the legal argument be that
Well,
police shouldn't have arrested him?
well, that'll be something that we'll address in the near future. But
Okay, you guys, I want to stop right there. That was an interesting question too from that reporter. What would be the legal argument for the lawsuit? Basically, the reporter, in my opinion, I believe he's stating that the police officers did their job based off of the information there. But there have been instances and cases, and I can't point to it here in Chicago right off the top of my head. But let's just take, for instance, Florida, and I know every state is different. Remember the situation that happened with that non-melanated lady, the Caucasian lady who shot AJ through the door? They didn't arrest her immediately. Remember the situation, it's another situation where they didn't arrest someone immediately. Non-melanated white man, I think this was in Florida, who shot Ralph, and Ralph went to the wrong house. They didn't arrest him immediately, and I know it's a different state. So I believe, in my opinion, this reporter is focusing in on that. Like, basically, in my opinion, and I do believe it's probably thousands of examples and instances in the city of Chicago, in Illinois, whereas an arrest is not done immediately. They don't have to do it immediately. Matter of fact, I know someone personally, I'm not going to tell their business, but an investigation happened. They didn't arrest the person immediately. So, I don't know. Yeah, police officers do have discretion. So, I don't know what they did immediately when they showed up to warrant arrest immediately Carlisha and her son immediately. Because to be honest, they really didn't have to. All I would say is that they could have taken her firearm, taken out all the all the stories and gathered information and confiscated her firearm. And then after reviewing of everything, if they want to come back and arrest and warrant, that's what happens. That's what could happen. I'm not law enforcement. Somebody drop a comment. I don't know if I'm on the right track or not. I'm not one to profess to know everything. I'm just going off of different instances and even a situation I know personally with someone that it wasn't a violent situation that happened. It wasn't even a violent situation, but the police investigated and that person ended up being arrested like probably a week or so later. So immediate arrest does not have to take place. So I do believe law enforcement, they do have discretion. So, but the article further cites police said Hood was arguing with the man in line, etc., etc. So I'm not going to go over that, but go ahead, head on over to abcchicago.com. News is pretty much basically stating what we all know that happened. The argument and the dude name, which he was a total clown. It's been identified as 32-year-old Jeremy Brown. Repeatedly punches Hood in the head. Okay, everyone. Yeah, drop a comment. What are your thoughts? This is a lot to unpack, a lot of information continuously to process. I put the post from Nicki Minaj up there, and hopefully it'll get back to her that Carlishia'S son is an aspiring actor, and he's a straight A student. So I don't know. This is very thoughtful of Miss Minaj and Miss Petty. Excuse me, her last name is Petty. Miss Petty, and yeah, so there you have it. But the lawsuit filed. What do you all think about the lawsuit being filed? I say go for it. Yeah, rightfully so. Rightfully so. Go file it. But I would say this much. I would get out of Chicago. I would take my son and I would go somewhere else. I would. To my understanding, they raised a significant amount. I don't know who raised the GoFundMe for them, but there was a substantial amount of funds raised for the GoFundMe, and perhaps that will go towards some legal representation. But you know what? Probably the criminal legal representation they had to pay. But far as civil, the attorneys probably will recoup their funds once a settlement is reached, or if the settlement is reached with the city of Chicago. That's how usually when it comes to civil, they'll recoup their money if the person is redeemed via a settlement, or if it goes to trial and it's the damages, financial damages is awarded by a jury at trial. So, but lastly, differences should not equal division. And I gave an example early on. Jamal Green, he's been kind of on the wrong side, in my opinion. That's my differences of the political spectrum. And we all can agree to disagree. But I did have to share that clip because perfectly said. And just because I don't agree with him in certain aspects, in certain areas, doesn't mean that, hey, you know what, screw you. I'm not going to refer to you when commenting or when reporting on something via my channel, The Mix. So share this video, like this video. Hopefully I'm not keeping you guys too long. But also when it comes to differences, I go back to what I was stating earlier in this about the differences in what Carlisha is experiencing from where she's living on the south side of Chicago. And I was just out there, I think in that area, for a relative's birthday party, a kid's birthday party. And those who don't know, when you are a born and raised West Sider, you get a little nervous going out south. I get confused about street numbers because I'm like, why is it numbers? I'm so used to street names. So, and then to my understanding, I think it's the same when Southsiders come to the West Side. It's like a total different world, but we're all black and should be a part of one community. But I get a little nervous driving on the south side of Chicago. I get a little nervous driving on the west side now, or downtown, because just the climate has changed. And not to say, because when I was raised on the west side of Chicago, I mean, not to say it was perfect, but it was more of community. And things started getting a little bit unhinged in the 90s, my high school years. So that's when things started to really, really change, the 90s. But I'm probably telling my age. So again, but yeah, back to differences equaling division. So as I was stating earlier, I don't know. I can't say that I would be comfortable to put my child in that type of situation. And to me, that's heavy. And as you can see, Carlicia is traumatized. And I can only imagine her son is probably traumatized as well, so I hope they do get the help and the therapy that they need. And people, please leave them alone. Just let them be. This is if even for me, I'm not even the one that experienced this, firsthand, but it's triggering for me, so I have a child that's young, divorced. I am a single, mother. So, but my son, he's getting older and I'm watching him change. I'm like, wait a minute, he's taller than me. He's this and that. His voice is deep, but he's still a kid at heart. Shoots, last year he was just playing with action figures. Seriously, and that's how he is. He's just my baby, and all he's into is like his soccer and video games and maybe hanging out with his buddies, riding a bike and this and that. Nothing too, just kid shit. And that's what kids should be, and those kids who may aspire to do something like Carlishia'S son, he's into acting and this and that. That's a talent that he's expressed interest in and he wants to expand on. So I just can't see, like, for me, my kid shouldn't have to be concerned with protecting himself from that manner. And I do know that we're all in different spaces and phases in our lives and our backgrounds. But I just, I don't, even when I do become a firearm owner, say I become one this year, I wouldn't even let my son know I have a firearm. I wouldn't be comfortable. I just think it's levels to it. But also, piggyback to Carlicia, south side of Chicago, they residing is the wild, wild west everywhere in a lot of inner cities across the United States. You got to keep your head on a swivel. Even when I go to the city, I know that I have to keep my head on a swivel, period. My son, he just be la, so focused on his game, his phone, and he's so carefree because he's like that at home. So there's a disconnect. Me, I already know because I grew up in the hood. So it's just, oh my goodness. Like I said, and this makes me think, having a different type of conversation with my son. And not to say because, we're in different community or area that there's nothing to be concerned with, because I don't care whether you're living from the inner city to the suburban areas to the White House. Things can happen just like that. You got active shooters in places and, hey, it can happen just like that to anyone. So I feel now like, man, this is like an eye-opening that I need to have these conversations with my child. But also, I think about it from this perspective. Why should we be having these conversations with our babies? Why should we have to? They should be enjoying school, enjoying their passions, being a kid, or being a preteen, enjoying life, hanging out with their friends, not having a care in the world, in these times. Not to me, in my opinion, is levels to this shit. You don't expose your kids to every single thing just like that. And I'm a mom of 3, and I've learned, no, there's no book to parenting. I've learned some things. And every child is unique. The question is, could you see yourself allowing your daughter or son to make a decision like this? Or, I just feel that, again, what Jamal Green stated, those men that was in there, somebody should have been able to de-escalate that situation. But then again, who knows? Dude may have been packing too. Who knows? They probably found the firearm on him. I wouldn't be surprised, and that's alleged. I don't know for it to be fact, but he looked like because for somebody, look how it was just demonic in him or something. Like he was on demon time. What? And I didn't even watch the full clip. Like, come on now. It's just so disturbing, incredibly disturbing. But differences should not equal division, and things it's all perspective when it comes to making certain decisions like this. And you may not know, you might be put in a situation where your child has to react, even in a suburban area. So this is eye-opening for me, and because shit can happen anywhere. It can literally happen anywhere. I don't care. But I hope I didn't keep you all too long. Like this video, share this video, more to come. As the days go by, I'm beginning to become more comfortable discussing this story, unfortunately, and not comfortable like this is something to be highlighting in a fascination type of way, because it's not. A life has been lost, but more importantly, and I'm gonna say this more importantly because their life is whatever, I really feel no way. Carlisha and her son, they have to live through this. Look how she broke down. That I felt that in my soul. So I can only imagine how her son is feeling, you know. So, oh my gosh. Whew. And like I said, her son, it just reminds me of my child, just a regular kid, and he shouldn't have to be put in a position where he have to come to his mom's defense. I don't know where the father is, the dynamic of the household. So I'm not here to speak on that, but I'm just speaking on just the situation at hand. I'm not judging her. However, from my own perspective, I don't know if I would feel comfortable, remotely comfortable with my son being left to make a decision, split the second decision like that. And things can go, like I said, 0 to 100 real quick. And again, shout out to the person who left that comment in my comment section. You broke it down. And that's a whole nother discussion. I think I will do another discussion about another post about just violence overall in the inner cities. Think about it. During COVID, all of that, even prior to that, we have all these movements and this and that, defund the police, blah, blah, blah. And to be honest, they're actually doing that in major cities now. They're pulling back resources and defunding the police, meaning that, and then a lot of officers are retiring because they're feeling some kind of way. But that's a discussion for another day. So what people are doing is arming themselves, as the commenter stated. They are. And you have to, especially when you're in illegally arming yourself. Obviously, I'm not condoning violence or any of that, but just legally going about things the right way to protect your home, your castle, your persons, yourself. Not saying you're going looking for trouble, but when trouble approaches you, hence Carlisha Hood situation, things could go left and you have to defend yourself because you're in imminent danger, you know. So, but again, that's a discussion for another day regarding the violence overall in these major inner cities. And it's not a lot of major inner cities. You think of California, so we got LA. You think of Pennsylvania, you got Philly. You think of Illinois, you got Chicago. You think of Florida, you got Miami. You think of Texas, but you got Houston, Dallas. There's not a lot of major inner cities in America. And most of the major inner cities house black and brown people. Let's just be transparent and honest. So when there's funding not in place, or when law enforcement officers just saying, fuck it, I'm retiring because they're being prosecuted because excessive force, daily use of force while in line of duty, and rightfully so in most instances, the officers being prosecuted, and they should be. If they're abusing their power, they should be prosecuted. They should be. If you're abusing your power and you're going after someone maliciously, and the situation and the circumstances happens or arises, then, you know, like I said, this is a conversation for another day. Like this video, share this video. Head on over to abcchannelnews.com. I use that as my source today. And that clip, I think it's from ABC. I think it is. But I will talk to you all soon. And I have another video coming about violence in the inner city. And what can we do moving forward? Police state. I mean, lawlessness. The past 4 years has been really interesting across a lot of inner cities in certain states. Violence has been incredibly on the rise, and it's like, okay, either you want the police or you don't. Defund the police or don't. And look at this. The result of that is people, citizens, arming themselves and protecting their own family and their persons and their things or whatever. So, and as a result of that, some people, like these malicious people out here, the people running amok, they get deleted, and rightfully so. So I will talk to y'all soon. Bye.